Hey everyone, it's Andrea, and welcome to Scenes Out of Place. If you don't know, I have a short story book called Scenes Out of Place, where I have multiple stories that feature zombies, dragons, and surviving in space. And there are a couple more ideas that might fit into those worlds, but don't necessarily need a whole new book. So I'm bringing them to you in an audio edition. So sit back and enjoy some of the stories that didn't make it to the final edition, but still need to exist. My grandmother told me being crowned seasonal queen was a great honor, one of the highest honors a woman could have in that town. It happened like clockwork, not really on the same day every year, but around the same time. When the boats were getting lighter, when the nets weren't as heavy, and the crabs just weren't as big, that was when they knew it was time to hold the festival, the seasonal festival. My great grandmother was the first in her family to be crowned seasonal queen. My grandmother said it was such a surprise to the family, or I should say, my grandmother was told it was such a surprise to the family, and that the other families started to look at them differently. Better, she said, her mom explained. Being named seasonal queen helped raise her family's standing in the town. Even though you're only bestowed a fake physical crown and a scepter that's painted to look like diamonds and jewels, you walk around town and decide your court for the day. You held no real power, but there was still an honor in being named. My grandmother told me that she had already picked out her own court in the hopeful day that she would be crowned seasonal queen one day. It was one of her it was one of her dreams. She told me about the last festival she attended before the town disappeared. It was one of the largest yet, mostly because the town itself was growing larger. And she said the woman crowned that year, Vanessa, was the third in her family to be crowned seasonal queen. Vanessa was just in high school, a senior, my grandmother thinks. And she was wearing this bright blue dress. My grandmother said it looked like the ocean was wrapped around her. My grandmother said that she wanted to wear her mother's dress if she was crowned, when she was crowned seasonal queen. I went through all of her journals, but there wasn't really much else about the festival other than my grandmother planning her court, what she would do, how she would act surprised. If I could, I would hold my own seasonal festival and crown her queen. But nothing she told me gave me any new information that would help me find anything about the town. I know the festival actually existed, but I can't find anything concrete about it. You know, when you listen to like the other mystery podcasts, it always feels like the person behind the mic has everything together and they're unraveling the mystery in a neat and orderly fashion. That's how it always seemed to me. That's not the case. Because it seems like this mystery, and I guess the fact that it's my family's mystery, It's different. It's difficult. It's trying. Because family is family. I tried to talk to some of my aunts and uncles and my cousins about this to see if grandma had told them anything different than what she told me. You know that look family gets in their eye when they're just humoring you? That look of, there she goes again, or if I just keep nodding and smiling, I don't have to say anything. Those looks, yeah, I'm very familiar with those looks now more than ever because that's what they were doing to me. They were just humoring me. I don't know why I tried to talk to them. No one ever really believed grandma but me. And now I'm pretty sure they think I'm going a little crazy trying to find the truth about a town they still don't believe existed. But I know it. I can feel it in my bones that this town exists. And someone out there knows something. Someone in Henderson knows something. Henderson is the only place I was able to find a clue. So I could do with another drive down the coast, breathing in that sea salt air. So I did. I went back to Henderson. I know I was just there, but I needed more than that little nugget I got. So I did that beautiful drive again and I visited the library and I met Miss Anderson again. I don't approve of lying, but sometimes you have to tell a small fib to get to the truth. And I told her a small fib that my project was growing and I needed a bit more research on Henderson Village's history. Maybe there was a connection I wasn't aware of. And she graciously let me do some research. I mean, I don't think she could have told me no. Does a librarian ever tell you no when you want to research? I don't know. But when you're trying to find information about the town you're currently in, there is so much more information. I was given an abundance of information about the history of Henderson Village, where I was looking for scraps and little bites for Blue Crab Cove. I was getting a feast in information about Henderson Village. Henderson Village was founded in 1835, nearly 2 centuries after Blue Crab Cove supposedly was. And throughout its history, Henderson has been known for its livestock and fishing. And based on the population records I was able to find, the town nearly tripled in size overnight after its founding. And then for the next 100 years, it continued to grow until the 1930s. Until the mid 1930s, I should be very specific about that. Because that is when the growth sort of stopped. Now, of course, over time, you have births, you have death, you have marriages, you have people moving in and out of town, causing the population to fluctuate. But what was strange was that it never grew larger than what it was in 1935, which is weird, right? Because that was right around the time Blue Crab Cove disappeared. So from that point on, Henderson's population only fluctuated naturally, never really increasing due to more people coming. The town never expanded past its population from 1935, and I think that's weird. I wish I could do one of those investigation montages to like show you what it felt like uncovering piece after piece after piece of information about Henderson Village. Because it was a lot. Their founder, John Henderson, hence the name, was described simply as a pioneer, someone who wanted to create a new safe place for him and his family. I tried to look him up to figure out where he came from, because then maybe that might give me a clue. And that is when the information train stopped, because there was nothing, not a single record, birth certificate, nothing about John Henderson from before Henderson Village's founding. No articles mentioning he was born, no birth certificates, nothing about his parents, just a man showing up and founding a town and naming it after himself. So then I started looking into the other families who came to Henderson when he founded it. And the same thing. I couldn't find a single record saying where any of them came from, which is weird, right? Because I know the people who landed on Plymouth came from England, but I can't find a single source telling me where the founders of the Henderson Village originated from. Did they just walk out of the sea? Did they just spontaneously start existing? No. So now I'm wondering, did I stumble into a mystery within a mystery? Or is it not even a mystery to the people who live here? After hours spent flipping through page after page after page of old census records, of old newspapers, of family tomes, my table looked a mess. And I needed a break. I needed food. I needed something to eat so maybe I could give my brain a chance to reset. Because there were so many questions and theories running through my mind, and nothing was making sense, and nothing led me back to Blue Crab Cove, which is the reason I was here. The history of Henderson was nice, but it wasn't the point. So I decided to go to that cafe I saw when I first got to town and grab a quick bite. Miss Anderson assured me that I could leave my space as it was as long as I promised to come back. Otherwise, I would not be allowed back. And I went, I got something to eat, and then I came back. And when I sat back down and started unpacking my notebooks, I noticed a piece of paper on the table that was not there when I left it. It was another note. I have to admit, it felt pretty cool to get the note, like I was in an actual mystery. It felt like I was in an actual mystery because the note said, "Meet me at the Bluffs outside of town tonight at 9 p.m. So I went. I know, not the smartest thing in the world to meet someone randomly at night, but I had to know who wanted to meet me and why. So I texted my location and what was going on to my best friend because I'm curious, not reckless, and for safety reasons, I definitely needed someone to know where I was. So I got to the Bluffs at 8:50 and I waited. Those were probably the longest 10 minutes of my life. Hearing the waves and the water and the wind just sort of all making their own little symphony. It was beautiful. And then I heard the person. Now, for the purpose of this podcast, I'm going to call this person Clara because Clara has asked me not to reveal their name or gender. Clara told me that word had gotten around that someone was asking about the seasonal queen, and that there were people in Henderson who didn't like that. Clara told me that a Blue Crab Cove festival was not something anyone in town wanted to talk about. And guys, she said it, and I almost screamed. She said the words Blue Crab Cove. And this was someone who was not connected to my family. This was someone outside of my family, outside of my grandmother, outside of my social circle, outside of my family's social circle, who knew the words, who knew the town, Blue Crab Cove. So, do you know what that means? It means it's real. But before I get ahead of myself, let's backtrack. Because I had to know exactly what she meant. So she told me that there were multiple families who helped found Henderson Village, and they came from Blue Crab Cove, which is why there was no record of them. And then Clara specified they didn't just come from Blue Crab Cove, they were running from it. That the town was something they wanted to forget. And that I didn't understand. Because the way my grandmother described it, Blue Crab Cove was home. It was her happy place. It wasn't perfect, but it was home. When I told Clara that, she just shook her head. And she told me to stop looking into it. That no one in Henderson wanted Blue Crab Cove brought up again. No one wanted to think about it. No one would give me the answers I was looking for. So I should just drop it. And telling someone not to investigate the thing that they're investigating is probably the best way to make sure that they don't give it up, especially someone like me. I told her Blue Crab Cove wasn't just a curiosity to me. It was my family's legacy. It was my family's history. That my grandmother was from there. And she's missed her town. She's missed her home for all these years. That she has dealt with everyone in her life telling her that she was crazy for believing in something that she knew in her bones was real. And Clara just looked at me, almost with pity, like she knew something I didn't. Like she understood the gravity of the situation and knew that I didn't, and she wouldn't share it. So instead, she just said, drop it. For your safety, for my own good, I had to drop it. And then she looked out towards the water for a long, long time. Honestly, it felt like it was my cue to go, standing there watching her look out at the sea as the moon reflected over it. And then she finally turned to me and said, Blue Crab Cove was good, great even, for the people it loved, for the people who loved it. But it wasn't good for the people it preyed upon. What does that mean, preyed upon? How does a town prey upon someone? But that was all I got out of Clara that night. She wouldn't tell me anything else. Just that. Just that. So now I know that other people knew this town. I know that this town exists, that there are other members, that here within Henderson Village, that there are other descendants of that town. The town my grandmother so desperately wants to see again. And they are doing everything in their power to make sure no one finds it. And I can't help but wonder, are they the reason the town doesn't exist? Did Henderson Village do something to it? Are there other towns affected who also don't like Blue Crab Cove? Meeting with Clara, I was hoping it would give me answers. But instead, I have more questions. But I do know it's real. Now, I just have to figure out what happened to it. But I do know I can tell my grandmother there are other people who were from there, who know about it, who remember it. But I still have to find it. Because now I know that it has to be somewhere. I'm going to find my grandmother's hometown. And no one in Henderson Village is going to stop me. Blue Crab Cove is her home, whether they like it or not. Hey guys, it's Andrea. And thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of Scenes Out of Place, Audio Edition. I hope you're enjoying how the mystery is unfolding. A special shout out to my author support and above members on my Patreon. Their continued support helps me create more episodes like this. And a special thank you to Call Me Miss Royalty for your continued support. If you would like to help me bring more of these episodes to life, consider joining my Patreon, where you'll get behind-the-scenes content, early access to new episodes, and other exclusive rewards. Until next time, maybe keep your eyes on the horizon, or the shore, because Blue Crab Cove is out there.